Welcome to Military Combat Network. My name is Drake. I'm a serving soldier in the British Army, and today I'm going to react to the Killing Field, Australian Special Forces. Let's get straight into it.
Directly to the front, two guys moving right to left, behind the wall.
They're Australia's elite soldiers. For more than a decade, the Special Air Services Regiment, or SAS, carried out covert operations in Afghanistan.
They're going to look back and see that we were the guys in there murdering and invading and not there to do something that is honourable.
Now a soldier...
Okay, so basically, everything with Special Forces do is secret in every country, and sometimes those soldiers are wearing GoPro cameras and footage gets leaked. So I think this documentary is about footage that's been leaked, and it's showing some things that shouldn't be on it.
soldier who was on these missions speaks out about what he saw.
The guy had his hands up, and then it was almost like target practice for that soldier. You can't shoot unarmed people and not call that murder.
On this episode of 101 East, Mark Willisey investigates the culture of impunity among some of Australia's special forces in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan 2012. The brutal conflict was in its 11th year. Braden Chapman was on his first deployment. A signals intelligence officer fresh out of training with the SAS, he was struck by a country mired in war.
I thought it was a really beautiful country. You had snow-capped peaks. Where the rivers were, it was really green in the valleys. And I used to say to people, it would be a great place for forward driving and outdoor adventure if you didn't have all the war.
Braden Chapman would get to see much of the beauty of Afghanistan from a Black Hawk helicopter. He would also see much of the war's brutality during his deployment with the elite 3 Squadron SAS.
Holy shit.
There's definitely a buzz of elitism, because it is the best thing you could do for your career to go to that unit, especially when you're a lower rank and you're actually going to get to do a lot of hands-on stuff. You definitely feel confident with these guys. I never once felt like I was going out and I was unprotected. I never felt like we weren't going to get through it.
If you're out with the Special Forces, obviously you're going to feel safe, aren't you? Untouchable.
It was Braden Chapman's job to find Taliban targets by intercepting and tracking their communications.
If we were going out on a mission where we were chasing a mobile phone target, then I would be with either myself or the other signals intelligence operator. Would be with the teams, and we'd be going in close and tracking that phone.
Within days of deploying with the SAS in Afghanistan, Braden Chapman got a sense of what was to come during a conversation with one of the squadron's senior soldiers.
I was at the same bench as him, prepping my equipment, and he just kind of started some general chit-chat, and then he said to me, I hope you're ready and prepared for this deployment, because you need to make sure that you're okay with me putting a gun to someone's head and pulling the trigger, because I don't want to read about it in 10 or so years.
What did you think when you heard that?
I knew he was a bit of a loose cannon anyway, but yeah, at the time I was just kind of like, okay, that's how you're going to be.
It's among more than 10 hours of SAS footage captured by the soldiers on their own cameras. It gives a rare glimpse of the reality on the ground and how these elite special forces view themselves. It shows a brotherhood forged by firefights and the adrenaline of daily raids and operations outside the wire.
When we'd go in, if we found a small cache in an area and it was just in somebody's side room attached to a house, they'd often just light it on fire or blow it, depending on how much time they had. And that would usually burn down the house or blow out a wall.
Holy shit.
So, not exactly a way of winning hearts and minds, in your opinion?
No.
I think I was being in the open there.
Often they'd read out the numbers of how many cars they'd blown up, or dogs they'd shot was another one. They were pretty quick to shoot dogs.
And back to you for a stunt.
Get out of that. Shut the up. Shut up.
Over time, Braden Chapman became disillusioned with the war and what the special forces were doing.
We try and say that we're there to help and the Taliban are bad, but if we go in and we start destroying infrastructure or destroying their private vehicles and burning down their homes, it doesn't really send the right message.
We're in Mogadishu. Smoke.
And as soon as they leave, they're not going to help us anymore. They're just going to run straight back to the Taliban, who usually are not doing that.
Okay, as I already said, obviously, what the special forces do and get up to, we don't know about that. We've never seen it before. And then obviously this footage is leaked footage from the Australian special forces. You know, obviously I can't comment on stuff like that. I'm just watching it. From what I've seen so far, you know, it's a war zone. I haven't seen anything too bad at the minute. I've just seen stuff you'd imagine the special forces do when they're going out of the wire, you know, conducting the operation. You know, they're going hard and fast, and then whatever they do. So let's carry on watching this.
Braden Chapman says the information the SAS relied on to capture or kill their targets was often vague.
We would get intelligence briefs. They would be saying stuff like, you know, fist-length beard, wearing Afghani clothes. Just really basic descriptions of people, unless they had a photo, which they didn't always, and more times than not they didn't.
So it could be anyone in the population?
No idea who it is. But most of the time it was a really simple description of the average Afghani man.
For the Australian military, the war in Afghanistan was centred on one province, Uruzgan. For 13 years, the Australians fought to stabilise this poor and mountainous region, losing 41 soldiers along the way. The Special Forces would do the vast bulk of the fighting and killing, conducting thousands of operations.
The vast majority of our special operations soldiers are highly professional and, quite frankly, remarkable men. Highly trained.
That's exactly what I picture the special forces to be, you know. Remarkable men, highly professional. You know, it doesn't matter where you go, you're always going to get, well, not always, but you sometimes get a bad egg.
Highly professional men of high integrity who have done a very, very demanding job for us in very arduous circumstances.
Glenn Kolomitz was a military lawyer who advised Special Forces on the legality of their Afghanistan operations.
I was involved in planning day and night for daytime operations and nighttime operations, and there was always an element out in the field.
He taught them who they could lawfully target and who they were forbidden to kill, including people who had surrendered or were wounded.
So would you say that these special forces knew about the rules of war?
intimately.
So there's no excuses for committing any sort of breach outside the rules of engagement or any crime for that matter?
No excuse in terms of the training is provided and the understanding, absolutely.
Just weeks into Braden Chapman's deployment in early 2012, his patrol is going hunting.
Hunting?
They're heading for a place called Dehrawad. Their target, the Taliban bomb maker. The entire operation is captured on a helmet camera worn by one of the SAS soldiers on this raid. What this video reveals is a deadly firefight at a Taliban bunker that would go on to spark lethal retribution by one SAS soldier.
I landed with one patrol,
So,
and as we
gunshots?
came up over a hill, we heard gunfire, and then from there we could see that the patrol that was walking across the front of a mud hut was getting shot at. When I came over the hill, the soldiers looked like little ants running everywhere, trying to get away.
The SAS are accompanied by Afghan special forces known as the Wakunish. The Australians call them whackers.
That patrol that came under fire, they had a Wakunish with them. He was killed pretty much instantly and right in front of the entrance to the mud hut.
One Australian soldier wants to throw in a thermal grenade and destroy the entire structure.
Another one? Get the out of the way.
Leading the charge is an SAS operator who we'll call Soldier A.
And even as other soldiers came in to assist and they had grenades with them, he was like, give me the grenade. And they were handing him over to him and he was finishing it off. And he was telling everyone else to get back.
Why was he so fired up?
He started it and he wanted to finish it.
Get the out of the way. Get out of there.
I'm not sure what his mindset is, but it seems almost like a bloodlust once you get to that stage.
One soldier wants to get an attack helicopter to send a Hellfire missile into the bunker.
Oh, we can pull back and hellfire.
Soldier A then begins firing through a hole into the bunker.
Hey, let's get him out of here. Hey, let's drag him out. Go.
Soldier A orders one of the SAS corporals to throw in a thermal grenade.
Once he got his thermo grenade in, it completely collapsed the mud hut. And from there, yeah, he just kept spraying.
Okay, I get it. Obviously, they've just been on patrol. They've lost someone, actually being killed. It's a little bit overkill right now, you know, after destroying the bunker and everything they've done with it so far, to then go and burst another couple of rounds into the bunker. I don't know if there's any need for that, but again, who am I to judge?
They were no longer firing once the thermo grenade went off. Those things turn your insides to jelly.
Dusty, here.
The battle over, the SAS medic Dusty can finally get to the Afghan Wakunish soldier who's been shot at the front of the bunker. With the dust of battle still in the air, members of the SAS patrol on the ridge above pause to reflect on the battle.
How'd that whacker look?
He's dead.
Where'd he coffin?
All up his side, machine gun burst.
Yeah. Which whacker was it? Could you tell?
Nah, I was a kind of bigger guy, a chubby guy.
Oh, yeah.
The chubby.
The conversation then switches to Soldier A, who led the assault on the bunker.
He's pissed.
Is he?
Yeah, he's just going on stupid way.
No.
Soldier A is apparently furious. One of his Afghan comrades is dead. It's what happens next on a patrol to catch a Taliban target that may constitute a war crime.
Okay, let's have a look.
So after we lost that whacker, it was a few days later, we went on another mission. I was with that soldier. It was his target. We went in. I confirmed that this Afghani national was the target. I was going through the rest of his equipment just to see what else he had. And then that soldier with a Wakunish, they marched that Afghani national who was, I confirmed he was the target. They marched him about 50 metres away or so. Then the soldier ordered the prisoner to kneel back on the ground. He then motioned for the Wakunish soldier to shoot him. The soldier kind of looked at him confused, asking, wondering what he's telling him to do. And then he did it again, and then he understood what was happening. And then the soldier ordered the Wakunish to execute him. And so he just quick burst straight into his chest area.
And killed a man.
Killed a man.
And the man was handcuffed, plastic cuffed.
He was still plastic cuffed at that stage.
And you witnessed this, you could physically see this.
I could, yeah.
And what does the Australian SAS operative say after this?
He said I had to give him a win.
What did he mean by that?
Because they just lost one of their members, give them a win, let them have something.
What are you thinking?
At the time, I was just like, okay, we're executing people now.
Sounds pretty unprofessional to me.
Several weeks later, Braden Chapman is again in a Black Hawk heading out on a raid with Soldier A, who led the mud bunker assault and who ordered the killing of the Afghan detainee.
I was with his patrol again. We were moving through a village. We were coming up on the target building. I didn't see him walk out of that target building, but he was about 10 metres away from it, walking from that direction across our position. When we got to within maybe 20 to 30 metres away and he saw us, he quickly grabbed his phone from his pocket and he threw it. And at that stage, he stopped. He put his hands up just like that and then just stood there. As we got closer to him, the soldier then just fired and hit him twice in the chest and then shot him through the head as he walked past him. And then from there, he just moved on.
Insane.
So he shot a man in cold blood who had his hands up?
Correct, yeah. I was only 5 to 10.
At this time and moment, it's all just hearsay because we haven't seen actual footage yet.
10 metres behind him at the time. And at the time, I was just like, okay, the visual image to me was the guy had his hands up and then it was almost like target practice for that soldier.
What is that in your books?
In my books, it's murder.
Just days later, one of the SAS videos captures members of 3 Squadron discussing Soldier A and other incidents involving the patrol.
I'm not happy with it. As a brother, it's what I want. Bash who I want, shoot it whoever. Yeah. Get a kid, oh well, just keep shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Bash more.
Shoot a kid.
Execute someone in front of
Support staff.
not even just support staff, but other
agency.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
I'll do it in front of anyone but a operator.
You can't do it in front of anyone. You don't do it in front of anyone. It's very wrong. It's only a little.
No, we're definitely not trying to win the war anymore.
Rumours and allegations of war crimes committed by Australian Special Forces were the subject of a wide-ranging inquiry conducted by the Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force.
Okay, so there's recently, in the last 12 months, a lot of stuff has come out of the news over in Australia in regards to this type of stuff what we're watching. If you're interested in this type of stuff, have a look in regards to war crimes in Australia right now. More and more stuff is coming forward, more footage has been released, etc.
We have obligations at international law, domestic law, and indeed moral obligations to not ignore these sorts of allegations. There is potential for a prosecution under, or certainly for charges to be laid under the war crimes murder provisions of the Commonwealth Criminal Code.
It's May 2012 and the soldiers of 3 Squadron SAS are heading north from their base on 2 Black Hawk helicopters. Their destination is a village called Dejazi Hasanzi. The target is an insurgent bomb maker. The helmet camera footage you're seeing is from the SAS patrol dog handler, and what you will see next could result in charges of war crimes.
Okay, as I said a couple of minutes ago, it's everything has just been a he said, she said, whatever. We didn't actually see footage, so we'll see it now. If anything of it is true.
The dog handler heads out into the lead with the patrol scout, who we'll call Soldier C.
Hey, Sam's over there.
They are being guided by the 2 Black Hawks ahead, whose crew have spotted a man in a field. The dog, named Quake, is then let off the leash.
Hey, come! That's in a body car! Quiet down!
The dog handler's gun is trained on a figure in the distance, who drops down into the field. At the field, the dog handler and Soldier C come across a young man amongst the wheat, who's trying to fight off Quake.
Quiet! Leave! Quiet!
In the man's hand appears to be a set of red prayer beads. No weapon or radio can be seen.
Nope.
The Afghan is compliant and quiet on the ground.
Down!
As the dog is called off, Soldier C trains his weapon on the Afghan from very close range. He then turns to the dog handler.
Sorry, I up. Drop this.
Oh my God.
Quiet! Stop! Leave!
Okay.
Quiet!
That is murder. I don't give a shit what anyone says. This Special Forces soldier shouted, "Get down," and set the dog off. You saw the person instantly get down. Soldiers get there. He's trying to fight the dog off. Obviously had no in his hands, no weapon or anything. He surrendered basically, just staying still and then getting bloody shot. That's insane.
Leave!
3 shots from close range. The Afghan is dead, and Soldier C
I'm a little bit shocked, to be honest, looking at this. This is a documentary on YouTube.
walks off.
No! Heel!
The whole thing, from landing to killing, takes less than 3 minutes.
Heel! Heel!
So this is a video in 2012 when you were in Afghanistan.
Guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I personally think, obviously, it's unprofessional. It's plain murder. This soldier should get charged with murder. There's no justification for what he's just done. And that's because he's literally just landed, jumped out of the helicopter, hasn't been under contact, so he can't even claim he came under contact and say it's due to stress or anything, or the firefight prior to engaging that target. Shocking.
Dan, and I just want to show you what happens in this field and just see what you know about it. So he shot the Afghan. Did you know about this? Or
I didn't know.
You haven't seen this before?
I have not.
And do you know who those soldiers are?
I do, yeah.
And he was well held, and he's turned to his superior officer over here. He said, "Do you want me to drop this?" And he says that 3 times. In your mind, what do you make of that whole situation?
It's just a straight up execution, really. Yeah, he's asked someone of a superior rank what he should do, but it comes down to the soldier pulling the trigger, and it's a straight up execution.
Farmer Abdul Khalik was in a nearby field when the Australians swept in.
We heard gunshots. He was around 300 metres away from us. Dad Mohammed was a good man. His time was up in this world. I was told that his face was swollen and covered in blood. He wasn't recognisable.
We also found the dead man's father, who was away the day his son died. He returned immediately to bury him.
He was in a shroud. Because of my grief, I was sitting over there. I asked, "Where is he?" And they said, "He's there." I went to see. His face had wounds. I covered his face and told them to take him to the graveyard. After his burial, I came back to see the place. I saw the wheat field where he was killed. The wheat was flattened all around.
The death of the man, named Dad Mohammed, was later investigated by the Defence Force after Afghan tribal elders complained. What the ADF investigators were told by SAS soldiers and what the video shows are 2 very different things. Soldier C claimed that the Afghan had been shot because he'd been seen with a radio. He said he engaged the Afghan from 15 to 20 metres away in self-defence. The investigators found that the Afghan was lawfully killed because he posed a direct threat to the Australians.
They're going to look back and see that we were the guys in there murdering and invading, and not there to do something that is honourable.
In your opinion, were war crimes committed in Afghanistan by Australia's Special Forces?
Yes, there were. You can't shoot unarmed people and not...
You know, again, I'm not really qualified to comment on this type of stuff, but everyone should know right from wrong, and obviously that was wrong. This guy, obviously his conscience, you know, the stuff he's seen while embedded with the Special Forces, obviously he wanted it to come out because obviously he's got morals, you know, and if that shit happened near me, then I'd instantly report it, I really would.
Not call that murder.
About 100 metres that way, friendlies.
If a case is made and if prosecutions are successful, war crimes murder carries imprisonment for life as a potential maximum penalty.
So it should.
I just want the truth to come out and people who did commit crimes to be held accountable.
Do some people that you serve with deserve to go to jail?
Yes.
For Braden Chapman, speaking out is his chance to atone for staying silent about what he witnessed in Afghanistan, even if it could come at a cost.
It's a very courageous thing to do, and in fact it demonstrates the integrity of this bloke.
And should a man like him, who has the courage to speak out, should he be celebrated for his courage, or do you think he'll be hung out to dry?
I hate to say it, but I suspect there will be some adverse treatment. But I'd like to say that he and others like him would be congratulated for their integrity and for their courage.
So the Blues should.
Given you're talking to us, does that worry you what the blowback could be for you?
Sometimes I think about physical danger, like I'm reporting on highly trained soldiers who murdered people in Afghanistan and didn't care about it. And for a second, I do think about that kind of thing.
Retribution?
Yeah, if people will come after me.
And was there anything that happened over there that you think where you crossed the line or that you're ashamed of, or is it more of a case that you wish you could have done more about what you saw?
I didn't break any rules of engagement, but looking back now, I'm not sure how a complaint would have went at the time if I voiced my concern, but I feel now that even if it had ruined my career back then, I probably should have made that complaint.
Do you think it would have gone anywhere?
Nowhere.
And the images that you've got in your head that you've shared with me today, how long will they live on in your mind?
I don't think they'll ever go away.
Okay, guys, leave in the comment section your thoughts about this documentary. Obviously, there were a lot of accusations thrown about until we actually saw evidence, and then it was clear to see it was daylight murder. Yeah, it's not what else I can really say to that. Again, you know, you get one bad egg and then everyone else gets stapled under the same name, which is a little bit unfair. As you can hear, a couple of soldiers in this documentary actually said, come on, what's happening is not right. It shouldn't happen, you know, murder, etc. But obviously letting one of their mates crack on to commit these crimes, you know what, guys, you decide. You let me know in the comment section what you really think about this documentary, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.